Hi, everyone. Carol here. It's time for the weekly lesson from Spirit. If you watched last week's lesson, you'll notice that we talked about making lasting changes, and Spirit had some advice on the best way to do that. Well, I was given the theme for the lesson for this week, and it was actually using the word sidelining. Now, I think we've all heard I was sidelined, but I wanted to really look it up and make sure I understood what it meant. And it's really a sports reference. When we talk about sidelining, someone is pulled out of the game and put off onto the sideline. So, in the process of making these lasting changes that Spirit talked about last week, we want to be sure that we don't get sidelined in the process. And they provided me with three different ways that we get sidelined. The first one is ourselves, right? Obviously, our mind is our biggest obstacle. When we're trying to make these lasting changes, when we're trying to move into this passionate change that we want to create in our lives, our brain, our mind is the biggest one that sidelines us. We tell ourselves we can't do it, that we're weak, that we're busy. We have all of these reasons that we give ourselves. So we don't want to let ourselves be sidelined by our own mind. Now, the second type of sidelining that goes on is that comes from others. And I think if we have a good supportive circle around us, we'll probably find that people won't sideline us. But we do need to be aware that sidelining takes place from outside sources. Perhaps we have a friend that isn't so supportive or has all of the reasons why we're not going to succeed. Maybe they say to you, well, why do you want to do that? Well, that's not good for you. That's not a good idea. Who on earth would say something like that to you? If people are encouraging you to think these kinds of things, they're sidelining you. I also want to talk about sidelining, and I'm being reminded that we need to understand that sidelining also takes place from society, right? We are told that we need to eat this or to do that or to go here or to go there. But we need to remember that society is more interested in what it gets from us than what it gives us. Now, this is not true for individuals. If I go to a healthcare facility, I will often find that the people that are treating me have a great deal of love, care, and concern for me, but they may be working inside a system that is really actually designed to sideline me. So we need to be very careful when we understand when we're being sidelined, not just by individuals, but by what we've been taught or told is important or right. That is not always the case. As my own personal health journey can attest to, I was often told and given advice that in the long run, it took me years to discover were actually making me sick. You cannot be sidelined from your own personal truth, and you need to be capable of making sure that you're making the best decisions for yourself and not allowing yourself to be sidelined by others, including society. Now, the third sidelining that I was informed to talk about today, because I haven't received all of the information, kind of caught me off guard. And it was that of time. We are often sidelined by time. So, what does that mean? If we think about it, when it comes to making lasting changes, we have to develop habits that will support those changes. And time is the enemy of those habits. We've been doing things for a long period of time, eating this for a long period of time, watching television, not exercising, not picking up a book, not making those deep emotional connections with the ones that we love, maybe by using our devices too much or simply feeling afraid to reach out. Regardless, these are ingrained habits that occurred over a period of time. And as a result, that time has sidelined us from making positive, lasting changes. Now, the good news, of course, to that is that we can reestablish those habits. And that is where lasting change also comes from. It's not just about having the passion that we want for the things that we desire, right? Which is what was in the lesson last week. But this lesson is also about understanding that we've got to reprogram those bad habits. And we need to be sure that as more time passes, we're continuing to stay on top of building those good habits. For example, I wanted to detach from my cell phone. I was using it too much. So I made sure that I put it down. I put it underneath a towel, underneath a pillow, and I put it in a separate room. And every time I caught myself running to my phone, I told myself, I'm being sidelined by this bad habit that I have, by this ingrained way that time has put this habit into place. I need to stop being sidelined by that. The same thing can happen with the way that we eat. We get programmed to eat at a certain time or a certain way. So the whole issue and point of this is that time is both our enemy, but it also will become our friend if we allow habits to evolve over a period of time. And don't let time sideline you if you don't see success within a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks. It took me 14 years to get to a point of really feeling healthy and healing, getting back on the bike and cycling and doing 80 to 100 miles a week. I could barely walk 14 years ago. So I don't want you to think that change has to happen tomorrow. It's not going to. And you need to not sideline yourself either mentally or by allowing time to cause you to feel like the progress that you want isn't coming. It will come and it will happen. Just don't let yourself get sidelined. So that's the lesson for this week. I hope that it was enjoyable for you. If you support or are happy with this lesson, I really would appreciate a like and a thumbs up so that I know that I'm doing a good job for you. Thanks so much. And we'll see you next week for a new lesson then from Spirit. Bye-bye.